At the start of Football Manager 2024's default database, you'll find Valentín Barco as part of Boca Juniors' first team. However, once that winter transfer update comes about, you'll no longer be able to buy him on the cheap, as it seems that he's moving to the Premier League to join Brighton and Hove Albion. For all you Brighton fans who want to know how he's going to turn out in FM24, keep watching. We're going to push forward 15 years into his career as he starts at the beginning of the database to show you just how he develops as we go through his career. Right then, let's break him down as a player. So to start off with, he's 19 years old at the start of the game. He's valued at £4 million to £12 million, and he has a £4,600 per week contract which should run till the end of 2024, but obviously once he moves to Brighton, that contract will become substantially bigger, I am sure. Looking at the player himself, he's a left-sided player, gets up and down the left-hand side of the pitch, can play numerous positions. He started as a left-back, can move into a wing-back role as a left midfielder, and can even go as an attacking midfielder on the left. I really believe he's the type of player, looking at his profile, that could go on to be another Gareth Bale. He started as a left back and then progressively moved up the pitch, becoming an attacking threat. Obviously, looking at his attributes in terms of the physicals, acceleration, pace are good for a 19-year-old. He has good natural fitness and good agility. Looking at the mental side of his game, he has a pretty good set of attributes there. Leadership, the only thing letting him down, but really you're not going to rely on your left back or your left wing back to be a leader within the camp. But what he lacks in leadership, he more than makes up for in other attributes. Bravery, flair of 16, vision of 16, work rate of 13, teamwork of 14, anticipation of 14. Looking at the technical side of his game, penalty taking of 14 is a bonus. Not the biggest thing in the world, obviously, for a left back, but one who is confident on the ball is always a good thing. And then looking at the other sides of his game, dribbling of 15, first touch of 13, free kick taking is good. You have passing of 13, you have tackling of 12, and technique of 15. He comes at the start of the game with some player traits, which are gets forward whenever possible, tries tricks, and brings the ball out of defence. So as you can see, he is a true wonder kid that is ready to explode. Hopefully, if he comes to the Premier League and settles in with Brighton, you will see the very best of Valentín Barco, and they will get themselves an absolute steal. So let's jump 5 years into the future and see how he develops in FM24. So we have now jumped 5 years into the future, and Valentín Barco is 23 years old, and we find he has now transferred from Boca Juniors to Newcastle United. The game now values him at £13 to £39 million. He's on a contract worth £78,000 per week, and that runs until 2031. Looking at the player, there isn't masses of improvement. I did think he would probably improve more than what he has, but looking at him, he's still an elite wonder kid. Looking at the physicals, the agility of 16, the natural fitness of 16 goes with the balance and acceleration. In the mentals, 16 for flair, 16 for vision, 14 for teamwork. He also has picked up a little bit in leadership, that is now up to 6. In the technicals, crossing of 13, dribbling of 15, first touch of 13, passing of 13, and technique of 15 all score highly. If we look at his playing time to see how he has developed and when he went to Newcastle United, so at the end of the 23 season in Argentina, he actually moved to Newcastle for £15.75 million. Since he's been at Newcastle, though, he has found it difficult to get into their first team, and that might be why his development has stifled a little bit. I mean, playing 7 games in the first season, only 1 game in the second season, then 3 times in the 25-26 campaign, and 3 times in the 26-27 campaign. So it might be that with the game time being lacking, his development has actually stalled somewhat. However, looking at the player, he should be breaking into that first team pretty quickly. I don't know what the hold-up is and why Newcastle aren't playing him, but hopefully in 5 years' time, when we jump forward, he will have either traded Newcastle in for a team that want to play him, or he will be playing for Newcastle's first team. So let's find out by going to 2033 and seeing what happens with Valentín Barco. So we have jumped forward once again. It is now 2033, and we see that Valentín Barco has traded Newcastle for Fiorentina. He's 28 years old, and he's now valued at 7.2 to £22 million. He has a contract that runs until 2036 and earns £47,000 per week. Now, looking at the player, he looks pretty similar to what he did 5 years ago. So at the age of 28, probably isn't going to develop any more, but he still looks like a player that would walk into any first team in any league. Looking at him then, agility of 16, natural fitness of 16 are the standouts in the physicals. In the mentals, he scores 15 for bravery, 16 for flair, 15 for the vision. And then in technicals, crossing of 13, dribbling of 14, he still has first touch of 12, passing of 13, and technique of 15. If we look at his playing career to see how he has got to Fiorentina then, so it did get a bit messy at Newcastle United. As I said, he was not getting the first team football. It'd be interesting to see if he was going to force his way into the first team or go somewhere else. And it turns out he would have a number of loan spells. Firstly, to Leeds in the Premier League. He would play 12 times at Ellen Road. Then he would go to France and play for Marseille, where he would play 18 times. Then back to Newcastle in the 30-31 season, where he wouldn't play. However, he would go on loan at Crystal Palace, who were in the Championship, play 40 times, and he would score a 7.08 average rating. Then his contract would expire at Newcastle United. He would leave on a free transfer to go to Fiorentina. And he started off quite well, 15 games in the first season, but only 12 in the next season. And it means that his first team football, once again, he's getting stifled at the top level, but he has now played more and got more experienced at a level just below, certainly in the Championship. So again, big questions about Valentin's development. Will he kick on? Will he move from Fiorentina, or does he finally crack it and become their out-and-out first choice left back? Let's go to 2038 and find out. So we have jumped forwards. It is now 2038, and we find a 33-year-old Valentín Barco is playing in England, but for Derby County. He's valued at £400,000 to £1.2 million. That's a £25,000 per week contract that runs until 2039. Looking at the player, he has now had some regression in his attributes, certainly in the physicals, where he only scores 12 for balance and 17 for natural fitness. Things like strength are as low as 5. But the other two categories, the mentals, he still has decent mentals, good bravery, anticipation, determination, flair, vision, all score highly. In the technicals, good dribbling, first touch, passing and technique. My prediction of him moving forwards up the pitch hasn't actually come true. It does seem that he has been playing as a left back or a left wing back, and his goals to game ratio obviously shows that he hasn't been played as an attacking player, so you probably are best to just look at him as a left back. If we go into his history then and look at firstly his career stats, show you how he has got here then. So he stuck it out at Fiorentina until the 36-37 campaign. He became a first team regular at Fiorentina, and in his last 3 seasons played 30, 36 and 34 times before he made a free transfer swap to Derby, where he played 25 times, having 2 assists and 1 Player of the Match awards. With his early football being stifled, it means that across his career he has actually played 311 times, only scored 3, had 37 assists, had 17 Player of the Match awards, and got a 7 average rating, despite having some very mediocre campaigns early on in his career. If we go into his milestones to see what he has won then as a player, so going back as far as 2023 with Boca Juniors, Argentine International Super Cup winner, Super Copa Argentina winner. He then got his first international cap against Hungary in 2024. They were runners-up in the Olympic Games. He then was a Community Shield runner-up with Newcastle, an FA Cup Community Shield winner with Newcastle, and finally, in the last couple of seasons, he was promoted from the Sky Bet Championship via the playoffs with Crystal Palace, and he won the Coppa Italia with Fiorentina. In terms of him as a player, most of the awards came in the early phase of his career, where he got some Argentine Young Player of the Year, Domestic Player of the Year. He won Argentine Premier Division Best Player runner-up and was named in the Argentine Division Team of the Week. Then, once he moved to Newcastle, English Premier Division Team of the Week, named in the Olympic Games Dream Team. He moved to France and was in the Liga 1 Uber Eats Team of the Week. He was named in the Sky Bet Championship Team of the Week. Once he swapped Crystal Palace for Fiorentina, he was in the Serie A Team of the Week. But in terms of personal accolades, that's probably as good as it gets. Fiorentina's seasonal best 11 and Derby County's seasonal best 11. So, as a player, he has had a fantastic career, but the lack of first-team football, certainly once he made that big move to Newcastle, stifled him. 14 games in total for Newcastle was just dreadful, and it meant that early development and that quick acceleration of his attributes that you would like to see really was hindered. But I do think overall he's going to be a fantastic signing for Brighton, and I do think that if his development continues in real life as it looks like it's going to go, Brighton have got themselves an absolute steal. Right then, if you're still with me at this point of the video, firstly, a big thank you. Second, if you could hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Cannot thank you all enough for coming by and supporting the channel. Really appreciate it. Again, cannot say thank you enough. Before you go, don't forget there are other videos on the channel, other Wonder Kids, other hints, tips, tutorials, Let's Plays. There's a little bit of something for everybody on the channel. But for this one, I'm going to leave it there. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you on another video very soon.